What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So season 9 has officially begun, and wow, there is going to be a lot of things happening this season. But for now, let's actually talk about the CX9 SMG that was just released for this season. So this is basically the highlight weapon of the season, and oh my god, it is something else. So I did make a quick history video on the CX9 and where it came from. So just in case you guys don't know, this did come from Modern Warfare 2019, but way after Season 6 happened, meaning, you know, like this is like probably maybe about half a year, maybe a year after the game was already finished. You know, Cold War was still the current COD game at that time. And ever since then, I mean, the CX9 has been a pretty formidable weapon. At some point, I kind of knew that the CX9 would eventually make its way into the game. If the Cyclops were able to, which is, of course, in this game called the Dobra, obviously, at some point, the CX9 was going to make its way, and it finally has. So how does this weapon actually perform in-game? So this is actually... like, honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I used it a lot in the training room, and the way I saw it was kind of strong, but at the same time, it was kind of messed up given that currently right now there's a ADS sprint out bug that's going on, meaning that guns pick up a little slower than usual, even though they actually don't. It's just the animation that's slower. You can still shoot while it's being picked up at perfect accuracy. So it was kind of hard to actually determine it, but even with this bug in place, it's still probably one of the best SMGs that we've received in forever. Probably ever since the MAC-10, we haven't really gotten a lot of good SMGs. We got the KSP, it was only good for maybe half a season, but then it was just gone right away. As for like OTS, the Striker, I mean, they're formidable guns in their own right, but I have not seen anything like this in forever. This is basically the new FFAR of like SMGs, and it does not disappoint. And I know some of you guys that were watching has, you know, been to my live stream of me grinding this weapon, and I could tell you guys were very fascinated with this gun. You said it was very overpowered. You said this is going to be the next meta. And I actually don't disagree with you. I think this is going to take over ranked rather quickly. As of right now, obviously, we have like this grace period. Not everyone has the weapon, so it's going to take maybe a few days before everyone could get their hands on it, or at least the majority of the player base. So let's actually talk about the attachments. So the barrels, of course, you know, given recent history, they are a little unique. And fun fact, there's no barrels that actually increases the bullet speed or lowers it by any metric. I mean, this is a bullet speed weapon, but yeah, none of the barrels, even the range extending ones, even have any sort of bullet speed enhancing properties. It's just at 450 meters per second, and it's basically just going to stay that way. And given how this weapon performs, it's understandable why there's nothing that increases it. So like I said, all the barrels are pretty unique for the most part. There's a silencer barrel that increases aim, but that's basically it. But there's another silencer barrel that increases the range, the accuracy, as well as obviously just giving you a silencer thing. And it has like basically the same downsides as, you know, the barrel that gives you the most range for this weapon. But I would say that this is a far better choice. And to be honest, yes, you could use those other barrels that extend their range, and you could also use the monolithic suppressor together to have a little bit more range, but trust me, this barrel is really all you're going to need. As for the stocks, just basic usual stuff. They have they're all named differently. I can't really remember them off the top of my head. There's one that increases movement speed. You kind of like the no stock equivalent, and they also have like the regular lightweight stock, and they also have, I guess, the strike stock variant. So yeah, all those are pretty much the same. Same goes for the grips. They're just named differently, but they have basically the same properties as like the stippled, granulated, so on. Lasers are basically the same. The muzzles are all the same. The only other different parts is probably also the magazine. So just in case you guys don't know, the base weapon itself without any attachments starts off with 20 bullets. So doing the full, or I guess doing the no attachment challenge is going to be, of course, a challenge. But once you start putting all the attachments on your gun, that's where the fun really actually begins. Especially that there is like a 50 round mag that has literally no major downsides at all. And that's kind of like a recurring thing when it comes to like new weapons. You know, they will usually have like a very small ammo count, but there's always a mag that just increases it exponentially. And it's no surprise that the CX9 actually does have that. However, it does have a lighter 30 round mag and also a special burst mag. So I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with the burst mag. This is something that the Striker 45 had as like an alternative mag thing, and a lot of people thought it was going to be good, but it just turned out not to be that great. Given the fire rate of the Striker, it's pretty slow. But for the CX9, given that the fire rate is like pretty much as fast as a Fennec, if not faster, the bursts are a lot quicker, but at the same time, the multipliers are also pretty strong. So like anywhere all the way down to the stomach, you're going to be able to land a 3-shot kill. And you can end up killing like multiple enemies at one time. But this mag, of course, has its restriction. The main restriction, of course, it's only a 12-round mag. So don't really expect too much from this, especially if you're just going to use this for normal usage. I suggest just doing this for your headshot challenges, as well as maybe just using it for search and destroy. Or if anything, you guys could probably also use it on BR if you want to make a class setup for it. I think it might actually do pretty well, but I'm not really too sure on that. So yeah, you guys should probably be careful when it comes to at least using it BR. But for headshots, it's a must. And given that this weapon is pretty weak, there's no 3-shot potential unless you use this burst mag. But it does make getting the headshots way easier. I ended up getting like maybe like 30 in a single game. As for other properties such as movement and hipfire, they're pretty cool. I mean, the hipfire's, I guess, average for an SMG like this. I would say it's maybe a little above average, but, you know, not to the point where it's like Fennec level or even Cordite level. But it's basically enough for you to get those hipfires pretty well, so you shouldn't worry about that. As for movement, this thing is definitely fast. I'm not even using Skulker with this. I am using that barrel, but at the same time, I'm also using that silencer barrel that increases the range. So there is a downside to, you know, ADS movement speed and just movement speed in general. But even then, it seems like almost nothing. Another interesting fact I almost forgot to mention is actually when it comes to one of its weapon perks. So you guys already know how sleight of hand works. It just increases your reload time just by a little bit. But this time around, this one actually does increase the reload time by a lot. So for the most part, it's usually 15% for any gun, but for this one, it's actually 35%. It won't make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, but just making you reload a bit faster if you ever need to. And also, given that it's a Modern Warfare gun as well, it does have a different reload animation if you do use sleight of hand. So challenges, they're not really going to be that hard. Probably the only challenging ones is probably the no attachments and just the headshots. But again, if you use those burst rounds, it's going to be a lot easier. So I do recommend using that, at least for a time being. And once you're done, you don't really have to use them ever again. So yes. So my first impressions for this gun, I mean, it's extremely powerful. Even when I was in high rise, you know, grinding it out, it was just something else. So yeah, this one, I'm not going to be surprised if this makes it to the meta. But of course, you know, crazier things have happened. I mean, the Kilo got the buff that, you know, gave the multipliers the ability to at least 3-shot. But even then, it still like isn't the top weapon. So I mean, for all we know, this could end up like not even being like top 5, but who knows? I mean, this has to be. So far on the progress, I'm at about maybe 80 games or more. So yeah, don't worry, I'll get this done probably by tomorrow. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for some more COD mode content. I'll see you guys next time.